Lange, and I'm delighted you've joined us today. We're going to be talking with Jackie Wright, who is president of Wright Enterprises. Welcome to the show.
It is a marvelous, marvelous occasion for me to be here with you and just to chat a little bit about what's going on in the arts world.
That's right. There's a real renaissance going on, really.
It is.
So why don't you tell us, let's start first with the wonderful thing that happened just a few weeks ago, the film festival, the Black Film Festival in San Francisco.
That was one of the most marvelous things. When I got the word that could be a part of all of this, I thought, oh my gosh, this is wonderful. I was brought on board on May 17th. I happened to be working from my office in Dallas, and they said, hey, we need somebody to work on the film festival as a publicist. And I said, oh, I'd love to do that. And when I came on board, found out that there was a wonderful opening film in Straight Out of Hunters Point 2 with the young talent of Kevin Epps. And I thought, San Francisco Black Film Festival, having been created by Ave Montague, I knew that she had Hollywood involved as well. So it was great that we had a foundational particular film, but also I felt that it needed a little bit more of a pizzazz to it, and a little touch from Hollywood always does that. And so I was able to contact with one of my friends, Micah Penn, who is a festival consultant, and he told me, Jackie, I have the best films to add to your lineup, and that was In Things Fall Apart and Black, White, and Blues. And as it would be, Mario Van Peebles actually directed the film. So.
And his son was involved in something.
Yes, yes.
Mario
Van Peebles was actually the director for both the films, and his father, Melvin Van Peebles, was involved in one of the films, Black, White, and Blues was in there. So that was great. And then Mario also not only directed Things Fall Apart with 50 Cent, the rapper, he also was in the film, so he directed himself as well. So it was really a wonderful addition to the film festival.
Well, you know, I'd like to get a feeling for what these films are about and how they are different from the black films of maybe 10 years ago. Because, you know, we had a whole thing with Shaft and, you know, the
black
things
exploitation.
that, you know, and talk about black exploitation. And what are these films? What is the message these films are saying?
Well, one of the things, I must note that, unfortunately, 2 years ago, we lost Ave Montague as the film creator, founder, film festival founder, but her son, Kali Ray, and his life partner, Katara Crossley, have taken over. And they have continued the theme that Ave started, and that was to give a platform for both emerging and established artists. So we had the established artists in Mario Van Peebles with two of his films in the film festival, and then also the emerging artists in Kevin Epps with Straight Out of Hunters Point. And I think that particular film gives you an idea of the direction
movies are black.
The films are going, because you're having the realities of what's going on in the urban community that people are talking about. There are some very extreme situations that the films are portraying. And then also there are some light-heartedness that is shown in terms of love and that sort of thing. So you're getting more of a dimension. It's not just the shoot 'em up, bang, bang, and the car crashes and that sort of thing that's happening. So you have more of a diverse voice that's coming about in the film festivals.
So that you can come out of the film not feeling you're totally, you know, walking down the street going nowhere.
Exactly.
I mean, that's really what the black community has portrayed in so many films.
I think about the film Straight Out of Hunters Point 2. I have to emphasize it. It's a sequel to Straight Out of Hunters Point. And one of the things that I've heard Kevin say in a recent interview, he said, that he was getting powerful responses to it. And he said, getting the powerful responses, they weren't always positive. There was some criticism. But he said that is powerful to even get the criticism, because it gives you an idea and it gives dialogue about maybe what direction should we go in our communities, what kinds of things should happen. I remember opening night, Regina Davis, who is in charge of the San Francisco, I believe it Development Housing Authority. I might have that title a little bit wrong, but she got up and she said, you know, there are a lot of great things that are happening in the Bayview Hunters Point, and she named a number of new buildings that had been built as a result of the work that she was doing in the housing industry and that sort of thing. And she asked the question, why weren't those kinds of things pointed out?
Yes.
Why shouldn't we have something more positive?
Right.
So one of the things that I think is happening is that there is a lot of dialogue that's happening. People were just responding to that film. They stayed so very, very long after the film was over, just talking about what's going on in the community, and in some cases, you know, making connections of actions that should be taken to move things forward to be positive.
Well, now that's a good thing too, because we don't want to say that everything's perfect. But I think at some point we can discuss the problem, which we've been discussing for like 300 years. That at some point, I think it's good to tell the truth about where we really are at this point, but then try to come up with some kind of solutions. And I think that that's what the arts can really do.
Exactly.
And that's why I was so pleased with Shabaka's film.
Exactly.
Because you know what they did to not just Hunters Point, but what they did in San Francisco to the black community there, it was absolutely totally destroyed in terms of people moving out, Western
redevelopment.
To redevelopment, we've lost, and that same scenario is happening all over the country.
Exactly.
You know, they're going in, taking down, destroying the community that we have, and then putting something else in its place, which is never going to, black people are never going to be in harmony with, because they're made of steel and brick, and as they pointed out so wonderfully, we have these lovely creeks that were flourishing, and you could go by and listen to the water flow. You went to a store and you knew that man for 25 years and his family and his children and grandchildren. And these are the things that make us human, and it's just that I love to see that kind of film, more and more of that kind of film.
That one, 9040 Changing by Shabaka Henley, along with his wife, who's Latina, Paulina Sahagun, and it was directed by Michael David, and Michael Bernard, rather. And what was really great about that, it talked about the changes in Santa Monica and how those changes, according to redevelopment, were affecting the relationship between blacks and Latinos. Of course they were. And with what's going on, some of the headlines we're reading about gangs that are going out and making sure that they get rid of blacks in particular neighborhoods and things like that. To have that kind of film to be a basis for dialogue is really, really tremendous. And Shabaka Henley, a Hollywood star. One of the things that I think was really very special about the film festival was the fact that he was being honored along with your family, being honored for the work that you're doing in the industry. And that was just really tremendous. And I didn't know at the time that we were honoring you and both Shabaka and his wife, Paulina, that Shabaka Henley absolutely loved and adored you because you were his professor at SF State.
Wasn't that I mean, every now and then life comes together, and it just brings the most wonderful surprises. Because I didn't know that Shabaka was going to be there till you told me, and then I was telling you, oh my goodness, that's the same Shabaka that was in my class. He was a wonderful student in the class. He really was. You kind of know, you can pick out in your classroom who's going to make it and who isn't. You know, sometimes you miss it, but most of the times I saw a star sitting back there, and of course he became a major one. And he became good friends with my son down in Hollywood, which worked.
And I think one of the things that was really special about the San Francisco Black Film Festival, that very thing, friendships. We had some wonderful collaborations. For instance, the Bay Area Black Journalists Association had what they call the the Pepper Space,
Good.
where they interviewed the various filmmakers and that sort of thing. And so the black media really came off very strong in getting the word out. Lee Hubbard writing stories. People should Google probably the San Francisco Black Film Festival and look at some of the things and the films that occurred. It was great to have the exchanges that went on. One of my colleagues, Jackie Wright, had promoted his film in Cannes at the Cannes International Film Festival recently. 10-10 Gotta Win, and it was about the elections that went on in District 10. And it was, as things would have it, he had a trailer for that before 90404 changing, and then there was Malia Cohen, who won.
I know,
who absolutely won the election that was there in attendance. So it was a great opportunity for some having the films, but then the human connections.
Yes,
the human connections that went on were really great, and just to seeing the dialogue between Shabaka Henley and Kevin Epps and Jackie Talaferro, and some of the wonderful new emerging artists that were coming in. There was a film called Winter that was about a young Ethiopian woman who came to the United States.
And we have a large community of Eritreans
Exactly. And having that community come out and having that actually done in their language with subtitles.
Yes.
It was just a wonderful showcase of the talent. And speaking of talent, one of the wonderful things I think that happened, and as we're talking about the Renaissance of the arts, is that the film festival also gave platform for several musical artists as well.
Yes.
And music is a very, very integral part of films. And to have Hope Briggs
That's great.
do a wonderful, wonderful rendition of several songs for the VIPs at the Jazz Heritage Center that's headed by Peter Fitzsimmons was absolutely marvelous. Just before the Red Cross Walk, and you were part of that. Yeah. So
well, and the other thing I think we want to be sure that our viewers get is the connection between Mary Smith, who started the Black Filmmakers Hall of Fame in Oakland, and how it died. The funding stopped and whatever. And there we were part of that too a long time ago, right here at the Paramount Theater in Oakland. And it was wonderful because the stars flew in from Hollywood too, just like you have here. And very much supported this thing. Now, Mary Smith, we must talk about the contribution that Mary Smith has made and the contribution of Ave Montague, because I think both of them worked so much so that they both died much younger than they should have died. I think the black women who are working for the betterment, and particularly in the arts, they really made contributions that should be recognized in the community.
I agree.
Yes.
It's just tremendous, the kind of groundwork that's been made.
That's right.
And as a result of that, that is what Callie Ray and Katara Crossley are building on. And it also makes me think about David Roach of the Oakland International Film Festival and the work that he's done. All of the great work that's gone before, it's important to build on that. And it's my hope and expectation that there will be the opportunity for the Oakland International Film Festival, the San Francisco International Film Festival, to work with the Pan-African Film Festival in LA, and to work together to work with the La Hits at Cannes Film Festival that's done by Jackie Talaferro every May in Cannes, and to work together and bring our stars to the community and the community to the stars, and so that there is that connection. It was really great to hear Mario on one of the local television radio stations talking about, that he grew up in San Francisco. And at the time that I was seeking for additional films, I had no idea that it would be Mario that would finally come forth, and then that he had a wonderful connection to San Francisco. So the work of Mary Smith and Ave Montague, the work of Dr. Diane Howell, because she did include the arts in the work that she did with the Black Expo, that needs to be built on, and we have a wonderful, wonderful tradition. And one of the themes I think that came out of all of it is the fact that we have mentors.
Yes, we do. We have people to look to who have led the way, showed us how to do it, and that's all we have to do is get the money to revitalize it again.
Exactly.
And I would love to see this thing extend to Oakland again.
Exactly.
You know, that Oakland would have their time to do it, and then San Francisco would have theirs.
Exactly. There's kind of a synergy going on, and people are beginning to talk. One of the unique things about our Red Cross, I used to work for the Red Cross, but our red carpet walk was the fact that the Lorraine Hansberry Theater crew,
right? Yes.
They came. Stephen Anthony Jones, who is the new artistic director there, came along with his wife, Brenda Payton, who actually writes for the Oakland Tribune.
Yes.
And there were several other stars like Margot
and her
Hall.
husband, of course, is the new artistic director.
Exactly.
That was wonderful.
For Brenda Payton.
Well, now, you know, they did a fundraiser for that, you know, a few months ago. Al Dixon and that group there. And then, of course, you say they now have this, what's the young lady's name who's heading up?
The general manager there is Shirley Howard Johnson,
there you go.
Another great black woman who's doing wonderful work. So one of the things that's happening is that there is more of a dialogue. And even when you look at MOAD, the Museum of the African Diaspora, with Miss Stanislaus, Grace Stanislaus, she is doing a lot of great work. And what I look at is we have it within our community for the money to be there.
Exactly.
And it's time for our patrons of the arts to
step up.
To step up.
Yes.
When you think about the fact, the great impact of like Lorraine Hansberry, the fact that her play actually started here in the Bay Area is where she wrote it. And it winds up on Broadway, and how that play, Raisin in the Sun, has impacted so many.
Has never died. It's been on television, it's been in the movies.
Exactly.
At Oakland Tech, of course, my son Michael played the young man who lost the money, you know, and he had to go crying back to the role that Sidney Poitier had played.
Exactly.
But it's a wonderful play.
Exactly.
And it says something about the black community. And what I liked about it was a very positive move, even though it was controversial, that mother, and I forget the late woman's name who played the mother in the film, but she's a fantastic.
I've forgotten it as well.
But a fantastic actress.
Everyone Google.
Right. Because she played the role of the mother who said, it's important that I believe in my son.
Yes.
Even if he lost the money. Exactly. And I thought that was one of the greatest messages, that he proved his manhood by standing up, because you don't always win.
Exactly.
And it's like a new book talking about you not failing up, you know, that new Tabitha Smiley book. Sometimes you have to fail in order to succeed.
Exactly.
So, and these are the reasons we need our arts, and this is why black people have been slow to come to it. They've participated in the arts, but they have never really recognized why these museums get millions of dollars around us to bring Egypt here, to bring African art here, to bring European art here, how important it is to make a find of something that could tell us who we were. It's very important. So it's very important for us to preserve what black people are doing now in the arts. And that's why I'm so happy to see this renaissance.
Exactly.
Yes.
And hopefully young people and older people, you know, these days, and I think the Obama administration, or rather the campaign, showed what you can do with $5 or $10 here or there. And we need to support our arts. And one of the key parts of it, actually, I think, is black media. We actually need to start buying ads, advertising with our black media about what we're doing in our community groups, growing our own black media, because no one reports about us with the balance that we need, like the black media. It's something that people have kind of gotten away from, but we need to start paying attention to our newspapers again, and to our radio shows and that sort of thing. KPOO came on very strong in supporting the San Francisco Black Film Festival with several interviews leading up to the film festival, and then also having a live interview that went on the red carpet. So it just kind of brought full circle again the importance of us proclaiming who and what we are, utilizing our own media.
Really. And you know what's so funny is I had a joke in my book, my book that I've written about the media, when I was working actually on the television and in the newspapers. If you're black and you're not in trouble, you're not news. And it still stands. I mean, you know, we try to get the good news on the air about black people enjoying themselves. It's as if we're never happy. And they never record our happiness and our joy. And there's a lot of it in the Black community.
Well, you know, it's really interesting. The Pan-African Film Festival a couple of years ago, 2000, it must have been 2008, before the election, and there was a dialogue about bronze beauties, about Black women in media, and one of the things that was brought up was what was so wonderful about Michelle and Barack Obama was the love that they expressed to each other.
Absolutely.
And one of the main points was, well, they have to see that there is Black love in this couple that is running for the presidency, and to see the various things that have gone over the internet where there is that exchange that we in our community know existed, and it exists with other couples, but you always see these very negative things. You know, it was just what was great was that they were forced.
Yes.
Forced
if they were walking down there together,
record.
they had to take the picture.
Exactly.
You know. And actually, what we're seeing is a functioning family, not a dysfunctional family.
Exactly.
And they're always talking about the Black family when someone is being brutal to one another, a wife beating her children, or the husband beating the mother and the children. Those are the kind of stories that come out of the Black community because it's out of the anger and the frustration. Now, we're the ones that are going to have to change that. You see, we're going to have to understand why that is done and how we can prevent it. And we can prevent it by starting to bring the joy back into our life anyhow, whether it's recorded by the white press or not.
And images.
And images are very important.
Impact that very much. And I think, you know, for our community, very spiritual. When you look at, biblically speaking, about the power of image, first of all, in the commandments, not to have the image of God.
Exactly.
You know, that's one of the commandments when you look in Revelation and Daniel, where it talks about bowing down to the enemy through the image, what happened to Daniel because he wouldn't bow down, what happened to the three Hebrew boys who wouldn't bow down in Revelation, where it says that it will be a problem for the people who bow down to the image. So image is a very powerful thing that even in scripture tells us that. So with that, we need to start managing our images that are out there, that we put out there, that are put out there by us. And organizations like the San Francisco Black Film Festival, the Oakland International Film Festival, the MOAD, it all, and when you look at the Lorraine Hansberry Theater, we're talking about images, those speaking images, as, you know, we have people on stage talking through the various plays.
Yes.
And we need to manage that, and it's very important.
Well, you know, one of the things I found when I was general manager of KMTP, I was absolutely startled because we had a wonderful gospel group that sang it. She came to me one day almost crying. She says they won't let her speak of God. It has to be in the song.
Wow.
But if she just wanted, they said, "Yo, yes, you can sing the song that says something about God." And I said, "Well, what are you talking?" She said, "Well, but I can't just get up and testify over the broadcast, so that the broadcasters, you know, refusal to."
She can't testify.
Well, she couldn't.
But over the airwaves, we hear the misogynist things that are said about women, be this, be that. And,
well, not only that, it's because of all the various, we were supposed to be a country of freedom of religion. That's what everybody comes to, for religious freedom. But in this sense, they're using that against you because it means that you can't promote your God over someone else's God. And that was something they were saying. But that made no sense whatsoever, because as long as the airways is free for anyone else to come up and say their to me, their viewpoint of who God is. And what, but that was what they were saying, that no, we can't do that. You can do it if it's in a song. And I was just amazed that these are the rules and regulations coming out of the government, the FCC and these points, so that you can see a minister on the air preaching, but all these other places where we have beautiful spiritual families, you'd think that it would be, if it's natural, just let it flow. No, there's so many things you can't do, and you don't realize you're not even hearing it.
And that's one of the reasons that people have to be vigilant.
Yes.
With the regular broadcast stations, when they're not putting anything positive about your community, and you know positive things are happening. You know there's the San Francisco Black Film Festival, the Oakland International Film Festival, and the various things that are happening, and you never see it, and you always just see the negative things.
That's right.
Everyone has personal power. They can pick up the phone and they can write.
And they can turn off that set.
Very powerful.
But the whole thing is, the main thing is not to have to turn off the set. This is a media where the people own the airwaves. Still, we don't make money. The broadcaster makes the money and the advertiser makes the money. So what we need to say is the least you can do is put some programming that the whole family can look at.
Exactly.
And we have sort of dropped that. You know, we've never pushed the broadcast media to do that, and we have a power to do that, but nobody takes time to do it.
And it's important because our young people can only be what they see.
Absolutely.
And if all they see are rappers all the time, of course you're going to have, you know, a generation of young people who want to be rappers instead of doctors, lawyers, and Indian chiefs or
or they want to dance along with the stars. And that's a wonderful thing to do, but it looks like a hobby more than anything else to me.
Exactly.
That would be something you do as a hobby or for pleasure, and it's entertaining. See, it's entertainment. But what we need also is to have more educational films that can be made interesting.
Exactly.
That shows us, for instance, I read a book recently, said, well, you know, they've always been showing us how to work. No one is showing us how to live. And I thought, wow, that's one of the most powerful statements I've heard in it, because everything we ever heard about was preparing yourself to work.
Exactly.
But guess what? We're facing a leisure time.
Exactly.
I did a show in Honolulu called Leisure. Then in the next couple of 50 years, there's going to be, we're getting ready to go into a world without work.
Interesting.
And here we are in a world without work. The robots are on their way. We already know what social media is doing. It's communicating in ways we never dreamed of. I mean, you can't say boo in your house. It's out over the media and everybody's hearing you. So it's changing right before our eyes, and if we don't change with it, we're going to lose something.
Exactly. It reminds me of one of the things that Shabaka said.
Yes.
After you just made these pronouncements, Shabaka did say of you that you're a prophet. And he talked about the fact that you prophesied, even before there was a CNN, that there was going to be 24-hour news, and that we were going to have more of nothing. Much like that film Network indicated. And so with your saying that, I really, I'm listening, and I could see that could be
you're going to have to come back, because just as we're getting started on the good stuff, our time is up. And you've been wonderful. Thank you so much for coming.
Thank you. It's been my pleasure.
Good luck with your enterprises.
Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you.
All right. Thank you for joining us. See you next time.